Hello, welcome to the land of Kakiak. My name is Laurel. I haven't done a planning video in ages, and I've kind of been doing my planning just a little bit differently since everyone switched over to notebooks now and notebooking. I've kind of gone to, I do my planning in their notebooks, and then at the end of the week, I've been more just so recording what they did into my planning pages. So I'm kind of doing more of a record, like planning in here, recording for my pages that I keep for my records. The first step in my planning is I just gather together my materials. Today I'm going to plan for my third grader. He's the one that I have to do right now the most planning for. He's in the thick of it in like learning, reading and spelling and like all that stuff. And so right now this is the one that I do the most planning on. My older son can do things, more on his own. And I'm more of a checking on him kind of person. And my youngest, my kindergartner, everything is open and go. So there's no planning really to do. I'll do a quick record from last week, and then we will plan this upcoming week. And I'll just take you through all the steps that I'm currently doing for him. Okay, so he's in the unofficial RC notebook level 3. Let's look at, okay, so I have him marked to where he's left off. So we're just going to turn back to the very beginning of the week. Let me see. Okay, I need to go back to 4:15. Okay, 4:15. So math, we did right start, lesson 39. And then for reading, okay, from McGuffey, lesson 25. And I'm not putting in like every single detail of like what we did for that lesson. I'm just calling all of this is lesson 25. And I'll show you of something more detailed to help me plan everything, but I'm not going to record it that detailed. I just don't think I need to. If anybody ever wanted to see my records, like I keep these notebooks. So I'll be like, you want to see what we did? We did this. We're doing affixes, vocabulary words, and some illustrations, right? And then we did, so for writing, we did gentle grammar lessons 12 and 13. So since I'm doing, this is RC, Robinson curriculum style, The Tale of Reddy Woodpecker is classified, it's literature, but it's also science because it's like nature study. So I'm going to actually label it science. I'm just gonna make a little note. Tale of Reddy Woodpecker. Pages 183 to 192. Moving on to spelling. Did lesson 6, day 1. And we played memory. Okay. And then, so I just am going through my pages, and then you can see I'm back to math, and I'm just gonna drop down to the next line and start over. I should say plus journal, because he journaled on these. So he finished his book. So he did his book report. Just I thought I would show you. I just gave him like fill-ins for his book report. He still needs quite a bit of like structure on that. So I just kind of give him, I read, and he filled in those parts. So this did, because I'm using actually the Easy Peasy reader right now, because I was having him read The Tale of Reddy Woodpecker, and I did jump all the way back to Easy Peasy, the first reader, even though he's in 3rd grade. I still think the Arthur Scott Bailey books are at a reading level that is appropriate even for 3rd graders. But I had him jump back, it finished, and because this is her level 1, her first reader, she has included, she includes also sometimes language arts stuff in her readers. So it jumped back to these lessons that were about Like there were some phonics in here, coming up with like rhyming words. And then she read this, read one inside the other, which I thought was helpful for like logic actually. I did them do that. And then this is read what's for breakfast, and which is kind of more like a social studies sort of. So it's kind of interesting, but I had him just go ahead and do all those lessons, but I can't really call it science. So I'm just going to record it over in the reading section, and I'm going to say plus easy peasies lessons 102 to 105. And then it wasn't really a science that day, right? We did a light day on Friday, but we did do, I know we did do history and Bible that day, which we actually did all week. The state doesn't really care what I'm doing for Bible, so I'm just gonna write read. We read. We're doing the Bible recap for kids, and so we just go through that every morning. And so I'm just going to record that. And then history, I've been doing good and the beautiful, year 2. So I'm just going to record my lessons. So we've been doing this together in the morning. And okay, so I know the last one I did was lesson 43. And I know we did it every day this week. So I'm just going to mark it like that. And now I'm just going to do my planning for the upcoming week. Okay, I'm not including anything for history in this right now. So Monday is going to be the 22nd. So I'm actually going to go through and just put my dates in here real quick. That'll just help my planning go a little more smoothly. Okay, I only have to go that far and give myself. Okay, this is very easy. For math, so we're using Right Start right now. So I know we're starting at 44, lesson 44, and we're just gonna do one a day. Lesson 45. Always write in pencil in case your week goes sideways. Lesson 47. Okay, lesson 48. So I can fill in my worksheets as I come to them. Okay, next will be my reading lessons. This is the thing that's taking the most time right now for me. I'll show you why. So we're going through, he's in his 3rd McGuffey reader. And you guys know I have my McGuffey plan. But McGuffey plan's a good starting spot, but feel free to customize it however you see fit. What we've been doing since I decided I wanted to work on affixes this year is I have just made myself a little weekly schedule. It's kind of been like working it out as I go. And so I'm just going to write my own instructions into my book. And I've just been making my own little affix flashcards. Like I said, when I'm done with this book and I have all the affix flashcards that we used in here, I will specifically make these up for you guys and put them in the shop, but I'm still making them. Okay, so I'm gonna need my highlighters, a fresh stack of index cards, my pencil, and some kind of etymology dictionary or app or website. Because I'm just going to look up these affixes as I see them. I did want to share something with you about spelling, or for spelling, I should say. It's a spelling, scope, and sequence. Now, this is not based off of the McGuffies or anything that I've actually done, but I cannot remember the name of the school. It was a school district I found. I was just trying to look for a general spelling, scope, and sequence, and I found one that I liked. I thought that looks pretty good, because it has all the elements I'm looking for. Because not everybody is going to be using the McGuffey readers, like I am, to teach their kids or something. So I remade it so it was a little, neater than what they had on their website. But I'm gonna put this as a Google Doc if you want to download it. And it goes from like grade 1 to 8 and covers, so what, beginning consonants, end consonants, blends, beginning blends, end blends, consonant digraphs, silent letters, vowels, vowel digraphs, diphthongs, R-controlled vowels, prefixes, grammatical endings, suffixes, syllables, open and closed, and contractions. And it just tells you what year to, if you want something, some kind of guide. I feel like that's a big thing with us, for me, that is just having some place to start. Like, what do I need to teach? You know, without, that's not like too much extra. You know, I know people will try to be helpful, and there's those like everything your first grader needs to know, everything your second grader needs to know, whatever. But I think those are all based off of Common Core stuff, and I'm not interested. But so sometimes I'm always looking for things that are more stripped down. It doesn't have to be necessarily on this time frame, but you know, just sort of like what should come first, and then, right? Anyways, I thought this was a nice, gentle spelling scope and sequence. If you wanted something, you always can pick from your scope and sequence, pick resources to help you with that, you know, or to implement that, or just make them yourselves or whatever. But anyways, I thought this would pair really well with my unofficial RC notebooks and my everything notebooks. So I actually included it. It's a file with the first unofficial RC notebook. It just comes with that notebook file. But I will put it in the Google Docs just in case anybody wants to see it, because they're interested in, you know, knowing like explicitly what they want to teach. And it'd be good for if you want to just use this to teach your kids, you know, my phonics or affix squares. You can just focus on whatever one you're focusing on, right? And do your own work here with that. So anyways, that'll be there for you. So the way I've been doing it though, which is a little different, because I'm using the McGuffey readers, and I'm focusing on, from the reading lesson, I want the kids to be able to use these as their vocabulary words, right, for the time being, before I switch over to the RC vocabulary program, which I'm not going to do till later. There are a lot of affixes in these words. So I was like, we haven't been doing this all year. But so I got to a point where I was like, we're really just seeing a lot. And it would go to comprehension to know some of these. So I've just been having us study the ones that I see in the vocabulary words. So when I identify one at the beginning of the week, when I'm doing my planning, like I'm doing tonight, I just see where they are, and then I make a card. And if they're review, because, you know, sometimes they're repeated, I just pull out another one. And sometimes there's more than I want to do. Like, you may not want to do, you know, how many do we have here? I have room for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 new affixes or whatever. But I might put like 1 or 2 new ones, you know, or something, and then some, the rest are review that they've seen before, but they're getting to see them again with a new word. Okay, so let's do that right now. So I set mine up like this. Again, I'm just following the graph paper that's behind this, and it helps me make my straight lines. So we'll put the affix here, the meaning here, and the origin here. I do like to point out the origin because, like, we talk about stuff like that in spelling quite a bit. We're like, oh, why doesn't that follow rule? Oh, because it's actually like a French word or an Italian word or something, right? I do like to point it out, but I don't require it to be like memorized, but they probably pick up quite a bit. And I do like to plan like one whole subject at a time. So I'll be flipping, I'll do this, and I'll do the next day, and the next day, the next day. So I've been going through, I just put a note to myself, record, review, pile, score each day. So I've been doing this, I'll remind myself to give myself a little circle. And we're gonna right pile, wrong pile, and see how many, and I've always put these back in alphabetical order to help myself. But so far we've gone over 1, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And then I'm going to see if there's any new ones today. And then I would add the, however, the amount that he'll have. But I just want to see if that number is like increasing, right? And it gives me something to trigger me to review. So what we're going to do on Monday is we'll do that right pile, wrong pile first thing. Then I'm going to give him his new affixes, and we're just going to talk about them. I'm probably going to dictate, this is what this, this is the suffix, da-da-da, or this is the prefix, da-da-da. This is what it means. This is how you spell it. This is how you pronounce it. Right, we'll go with that, and so he can fill this in. And then he will copy his words, and we'll just, down here, I'm going to make his new reading words. I'll make lines for him to write on, and then we'll discuss the definition of those words. Maybe use them in a sentence. We're going to be kind of talking this through. Then he'll go and find the affixes, and these will be color coded, and he will underline, he'll match, he likes to work with the highlighters. He'll highlight, underline the words that contain the affixes he's studying. And then we may specifically talk about like the literal meaning of some of those as we go. And then he'll do a reading, he'll read his passage, right? He'll do a reading illustration right here for like overall for the passage. And he'll also give me like an oral narration back. So the first day is always heavier because like we're starting a new lesson. But here I go. I'm just going to work on that. So it actually makes it easier for me to look at my words first. So he's got 15. Okay, we'll go 1, 2, 3. So I'm just writing out the instructions on here too. So I come down here. So read passage and narrate. Back, passage, illustration. So then anything that's a direction, right? I'm just going to highlight, dictate new affixes, copy words and definition talk, underline affix words, read passage and narrate back, and do a passage illustration. And so this is reading illustrations from the reading. I put copy work here in case we were doing some different kind of copy work for some reason. Who knows? Somebody might be, I made these, I tried to make these general enough to be open-ended for people. Because like maybe you were having your kids do scripture work for copy work that day or something. You could choose to have them do copy work illustration to go along with their scripture or something. Okay, so I see a new prefix. I see X for exactly. So I'm gonna say X. Let's write that one in there. Let's go M for meaning. Okay, I'm just going to edemonline.com, meaning out of, from, but also it can mean upward, completely, deprive of, without. This one gets used a lot, so it has a lot of meanings. And it could also mean former. I just use meaning, P for pronunciation. It sounds just like it, just like it looks. This is interesting. Also, an interesting note. They said it's often reduced to just E before B, D, G, I, L, M, N, and V. So since this has really two forms, it can be X or oops, wrong color. It can be X. Also, it can be reduced to just E. Because of the origin, they said Latin, and then let's give some examples. So what are we using in our books? We have exactly. I think excellent would work, right? And then maybe we shorten to E. They have words like elude. That sounds like elude. Emerge. Evaporate. I'm thinking, of course, we have to say things like ex-wife, right? Or something like that. So that's going to be fun to talk about. And since I'm putting it in the first position, I'm just going to color code this one, pink. I tend to do these in the same order. Okay, we also have X Pro. Some ones I know we've had before. We have ED, the suffix ED, and we have the ING multiple times. See, I think adding 3 new ones is kind of a lot, but we'll see how it goes. You could just choose to do 1 new one per week, and just the rest of them just be review. But I'm kind of just going for it, I guess, huh? Okay, that's the longest part of my planning, is just figuring out which one of these I want to use. So my pile, we're going to go over 1, 2, 19. So actually it's gonna be 19 cards to go through. And then I usually review them, and then I usually pull out, I should just pull it out, put them in the front, the ones that are for this week. Okay, so I've got those laid out. I'm gonna just run through and fill in my gentle grammar for the week, because that'll go really fast and I can just be done with it. So sometimes I've been having him do 2 lessons a day. We're able to like speed up now, but it just depends on how long it's gonna be. Gentle grammar, lesson 19, lesson 20. Okay, I have no more planning for math or grammar. So, the last time I looked through the reading list or whatever, I was trying to decide what I wanted him to read. I just went ahead and signed The Adventures of Danny Meadow Mouse by Thornton Burgess, which is just in, I believe it's it's just the next one in here. So this would be more science, because I consider these the nature study kind of things. And a lot of times when I use the Easy Peasy readers for my Robinson curriculum reading, or just if I like one of the stories, I want it to insert it into the reading list, I do use her follow-up questions and stuff that she does. But on the first reader, she doesn't really have a lot of follow-up questions. She just says, tell somebody what you read. So I have just been jotting in, I'm like just writing the assigned reading. So chapters 1 through 6, and that's lessons 106 to 111. And I've just been jotting down what I want him to do. So the first day I wrote, because it's a new book, I wrote the title out for him, what pages to read. And then I want him to tell me what characters he's met, or what the setting is, describing he wants to do, in the action, like what happened. And so I am looking for complete sentences, then I go back and check. He doesn't fill up all these lines, right? I want at least one good sentence per section, and he can draw those pictures in. He likes to do that. Which reminds me, so I just make notes in his notebook as he finishes stuff off. So he just finished The Tale of Reddy Woodpecker, and he finished that. I do the month and the year. And now he's going to be starting The Adventures of Danny Meadow Mouse, which I already recorded. I was going to have him do that next. And then I can just add that into my master book list, reading log that I keep for all 3 kids. Spelling's really easy for me. I already wrote my stuff in, because I'm just using, these are my spelling rule flashcards and his spelling rules, but I have those out with his stuff. But we're just going through the McGuffey spelling level 3. And I just did a video recently about going through the levels and like changes I've made and stuff. But I've been having him do the work from in here in his notebook, and I just have been turning this workbook into my own personal key. Not everything needs to be written down, but days like when we do our pattern sort, I've got it written down, and I do the work in here, and it goes really quickly. But so far we haven't had any issue, even though I've got different formatted things in here, which are fun to do, and he's done them before. We've been able to translate it into the notebook just fine. And sometimes I do shorten his, like this says to do Alphabetize the words, look them up in the dictionary to find them, note the part of speech, and then copy an example sentence or write your own. So I only make him do 3 sentences. And so we just usually pick 3 that he wasn't really familiar with the word, and he will come up with his own sentence. Or, we may look one up, or I might help him with one, but he only has to write 3 sentences. And that has seemed to work out well for, he can write the word, the part of speech, and a simple definition in here, and then he has room for 3 sentences. So we've been making this container method is helping me not have spelling take too long, and feel good about those decisions. Okay, so that's already planned. All I had to do was write lesson 6, day 5, because I've already done that. I went through the book at some point. Okay, we already did math. So I just need to put in the plan for reading that day. So I'm just going to refer to my bookmark. So right, wrong. So this is Tuesday, affixes. We're going to dictate to student words and POS is part of speech dictated. We're going to talk more about the part of speech and how those words are used. We had 15. 1, underline affix words. Pick a reading word to illustrate. So I use this color to draw my eye to it. Since I do these lessons with him, we also used to read the passage again. And I have him read it to me aloud. We're on lesson 26. I should have been saying that. We're on McGuffey lesson 26. Okay, so this is Wednesday. He is going to, so he's going to copy his affixes in. I just realized I forgot something. Okay, on day 1, did I not write oral narration, passage illustration? Oh yeah, I said narrate back. Okay. I did I'm trying to work in my comprehension in here with him. I'm trying to get a lot in this guided reading time. We're doing vocabulary, we're doing comprehension. Okay, for comprehension for Tuesday, he was supposed to tell me the moral of the story, right? What's the point of the story? Is there a moral? Was there a point to it? Why is the author writing this? Who is it intended for? Okay, is it this one? They're gonna copy it. He's just gonna copy the cards this time by himself. Okay, so now he's gonna copy reading words in, copy a reading word sentence, and draw. Of course, read the passage and describe characters. I want him giving me adjectives. So, of course, you don't have to be doing as much as I do. I haven't started out doing this much. I've just kind of we're just building up to it. You could do just 1 affix a week, and you could, go off of one of the words that was in the reading, and you could find maybe other words look up other words that had that same affix in them, or root word or something that you see that stands out to you that you want to teach. Or you could even be looking for phonics patterns, like phonograms and stuff that are more complex. It's up to you about what you want to focus on. I already put in reading, and I just want to say I learned. I just want him to, since this is a nature study, they're, in a story form, he should be able to find nature facts within the writing. We've talked about that before. And so he should be able to list out facts that he's learned through his reading. Fill in affixes, copy words, copy a reading word, sentence, and draw. We're going to read the passage again, but we're going to look for figurative language. which it is. I mean, we are seeing it in our reader, so that's why I was like, oh, we need to start talking about that. Having him look to identify it. And so when I talk figurative language, like I may tell him the name of like a simile or a metaphor, but I don't expect him to like memorize that. That's not what's important to me. What's important to me is that we talk about, and that we process that. He may want to choose one of those sentences instead of just a reading word sentence for his drawing that day. But the other day we were talking about how somebody might say the train was like a black snake against the rugged mountainside. That's a simile. It's like a snake. What does that look like in your mind? What's it telling you? Right? What picture is the author trying to paint for you? And then there's, if it's a metaphor, they'd say the train is a black snake slithering across the rugged countryside, right? So, I mean, one's a metaphor, one's a simile, but they're still giving you the same imagery. So we would just talk about what does that look like? Like, what is the train doing? Like, was that a good word? Like, why do you think they picked that word? Yeah, because it matches like the motion or whatever. But I just would like to start talking about those things because that will enrich his reading experience instead of maybe confusing him if he came to it, Just because it is present in his reading. I have seen it. Okay, so then he can do his reading, spelling, math. Okay, last day of the week. Wrong pile, right pile. What is this? How many is he gonna get right? So if this was Friday. Okay, today I would just dictate affixes and test his knowledge of what he knows, like what they mean, how close can he get. Can he give me an example word from his reading list without looking, Or maybe even let him look at his reading list. I'm not that strict about it. But we want to kind of test make him do some thinking on his own here. I'd like him to fill in the meaning on his own if he could. If he doesn't know it, I'll just tell him and he'll write it in. I also could do it the opposite way. I could give him the meaning, have him write down the meaning, and then see if he knows, and then give him multiple choice. I could just turn the flashcards face up and then say which one goes with which meaning, and he could guess and flip it over and see if he's right before he fills it in. We could make it a little bit more fun. But either way, it's Friday. We're trying to test his knowledge a little bit. Okay, so it says oral reading word quiz, test for meaning only. So we're doing spelling. Spelling is always at a much lower level than their reading, it seems like. So he has a whole spelling program he's working through. So I'm not going to test his spelling knowledge. I'm just going to dictate reading words. Sorry, I'm differentiating between reading and spelling words. Dictate reading words. But what I will do is oral test of meaning. Okay, what does that mean? Can you use it in a sentence? With each one. Use a reading word in a new sentence. Have a student illustrate. Okay, we're gonna read the passage the last time. Should be pretty strong at reading this with proper inflection, proper, appropriate speed and pauses, tone of voice, all that stuff. It should be accurate reading. So I'm really looking for fluency on the last day of the week. So we're gonna read the passage and then we're gonna discuss our favorite parts. I did make a note to myself that when there are no new affixes, to just choose a selection for review and combine with words. So if there wasn't any new prefixes, then I would just pick, I do right pile, wrong pile. I'd probably pick some he knew and some he actually didn't know, just because I don't want to make the week all these hard. Obviously he's having a hard time memorizing certain ones for a reason, but I want him to have some flexibility with playing with them and adding them maybe to some of the reading words. Can we change up these words with these prefixes or suffixes or whatever? So I would just do a little bit of wordplay with ones he's already done before. Okay, and then I've already planned my grammar. Oh, he's gonna finish that Danny Meadow Mouse. It was a pretty short one. So I've got his book summary. I love when I've like some nice previous version of myself already did this. And then his spelling, and that's a week. Okay, make sure, oh, I didn't write down lesson 26. So go back and make sure I didn't miss anything. Okay. If I wasn't picking out new prefixes every week, the planning wouldn't take so long. But there we go. Yep, that's last week's. Okay, so then we start with math. So he has his week planned out for him. I have his cards prepped. He's gonna moving on to lesson 26, the 3 little mice. Okay. Look at this file. All right, I'm gonna go put his stuff over in his basket and his notebook on his desk. Oh, and of course, we'll just be doing history in the morning, history and Bible together. The week is planned. I'll just have to record it when we're done. Happy planning.